Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has vacated the judgment that barred the Central Bank of Nigeria from releasing monthly statutory allocations to Rivers State. A three-member panel of justices of the Appellate Court, in a split decision of 2-1, held that the Federal High Court in Abuja lacked the requisite jurisdiction to entertain the suit legal that led to the restraining order. It held that the fact that federal agencies were joined as parties in the matter was not sufficient to confer the court with the unfettered jurisdiction to hear the case. According to the Justice Hamabaka-led panel, since the subject matter of the legal dispute bordered on the budget appropriation of a state, the Federal High Court in Abuja was not the appropriate venue for such matter to be ventilated. However, a member of the panel, Justice Adebukola Banjoko, in her dissenting judgment, affirmed the order of the High Court. The Court of Appeal judgment also ruled that Right Honorable Martin Amaewhule is the Speaker and has the local standing as the House of Assembly of Rivers State to institute the case against Governor Sim for spending without budget. The judges in their judgment agreed completely with Justice Omotosho and their brother judges in the Court of Appeal that Governor Sim is in gross violation of the Constitution by spending without budget. The judges were unanimous in their decision that 4 members who received the appropriation bill from Sim remain a forum and not the Assembly of Rivers State. The judgment still says Sim cannot spend without a budget and does not have one. Honorable Olaka, what do you make of this story?
All right. It's good to hear from the Judiciary. They have been one of the biggest problems we're having in Nigeria. And they say, when it's saving time, helps to make corrections. You know? But one problem we're having in the country recently is that the Nigerian judiciary will allow things to get out of hand, get so bad, before they come into a conclusion or giving a verdict. We thank God that we have gotten to this stage where the court is now making pronouncements, specific pronouncements. The appeal court has said it, and no other person can interpret otherwise, except the Supreme Court, if there is an appeal against that verdict of the appeal court. And so any other person who stays anywhere to interpret differently from what the appeal court has said, I think that will just mean that the person is just trying to, just a discussion which it cannot stand against the law. And so at this point, particularly on the issue of allocation, I think there are 2 cases we are talking about here now. We're talking about, from the story, the headlines here and the stories, it talked about the allocation, that it cannot be stopped. It also talked about the issue of speakership, meaning there are 2 different cases that were discussed. Now, on the issue of allocation being stopped, without sentiment, it would have been a very big disaster for the Nigerian workers, the labor force, and indeed Rivers people. If you say allocation should be stopped, it goes beyond the politicians and how the politicians will fare. But it touches on the welfare of the working masses. And so what are we going to be making up for those who labor and after 30 days, they can't earn salary because there are some kind of quagmire between the politicians. And so I think in the wisdom of the judiciary, they had actually hinged that declaration on technical ground or technicalities.
What do you mean by
technicalities? They specifically made mention of jurisdiction, saying that the Federal High Court lacks jurisdiction to entertain that matter. I dare to ask, if this matter had been instituted in the State High Court, would the result at the appeal have sounded differently? Because if you see the judgment, you see that it wasn't talking about the real issues of concerning why allocation should not be, but was hinged rather on the issue of jurisdiction.
When a matter is before a court,
yes,
and jurisdiction becomes an issue,
yeah,
the court most times does not even bother delving into the nitty-gritty, because everything, all the orders, all the judgments, everything made by that court is deemed invalid.
We're saying the same thing. We're saying the same thing, that what would he have been should this matter, if this matter had been heard at the lower court in Rivers State? Would we have gotten something different? Perhaps the court would have been looking at the merit of the matter and not where the matter was presented or where the matter was being discussed, talking about the issues of jurisdiction. So, however, that's why I said the lane judges had looked at the matter in their wisdom, and there wouldn't have been any need to start dragging other issues, but to hinge it on the issue of technicality so as to, reduce or manage the time wasted and resources and all that, and then give opportunity for other issues to be discussed. However, on the issue of speakership, which has been also laid to rest by the appeal court, except there is an appeal towards the Supreme Court, I think the Rivers State government executive arm had to look at what the judgment has said and see how to ensure the assembly is put, in their proper place. Because at the moment, the issue of the fact there is no House of Assembly in Rivers State at the moment, until this judgment has come. There have been a quagmire, as you know, where the executive is working.
Is this the first appeal court judgment affirming Martin Amaewhule?
We're discussing this one. We're discussing this.
But you still said there is no House of Assembly.
We are discussing this now.
All right.
That's what I'm saying. We don't have to put all the cases together at the spots. This is the matter we're discussing. So there is an affirmation at the moment now, in line with, in connection with the recent judgment too on allocation. And so we're saying that judgment had been made, allocation cannot be seized. The budget has not been presented. So there's a connection now. The state executive would need to get back to the drawing table,
right,
and deal with the law, the issues of administering the states according to the law.
All right.
That's my take on this.
Now, it becomes a thing of concern, Honorable Laka, like when you said there is no, up until now, that there is no Rivers State House of Assembly. That felt like, I don't know, that was why I asked you, is this the first appeal court judgment? Now, this is not the first appeal court judgment affirming the judgment of Justice Omotosho and reaffirming that Martin Amaewhule led Rivers State House of Assembly is the authentic Rivers State House of Assembly, and his speakership is not in contention. And, and you're saying up until now. Now, this judgment in the first instance, when you were also saying that the judiciary is part of the problem. Now, this judgment, the first appeal court judgment, upheld the judgment of Justice Omotosho on January 22, 2024. Now, in December, another appeal court has upheld that judgment again. Yeah. A judgment that was given January 22, 2024. And you're saying that the judiciary is the problem. This judgment came at the beginning of the lifespan of the 2024 budget. But then, let me hear from Honorable Amaewhule. Honorable, what do you make of this story?
Thank you.
There are three things here.
Yes. First and foremost, I want to thank the learned jurists for the way and manner they handled this matter. These days in Nigeria, when judgments come in your favor, you will applaud the judiciary. When it is not in your favor, you will criticize the judiciary. Well, like I have noticed, the trend of this matter has always been in the favor of Martin Amaewhule and co. for a very long time. If you read the judgments that have come from the time this matter had started. Again, I want to say that the Rivers State government is in a very precarious situation. Precarious situation in the sense that it is now known that the governor has not presented a budget ab initio. And so it means that the governor would have to represent the budget of 2024. That is the implication of this judgment. The judgment said that he has not presented a budget. The 4 persons that presented a budget to him, the judgment called them a group of persons.
A forum.
A forum of friends. And so they were never ab initio assembly members. Because for an assembly of 32, at least 2/3 should be between 11 and 12.
2/3.
2/3 should be between 11 and 12.
2/3, you're looking at about 21.
No,
it's 1/3. If you divide 32 into 3.
It's about 2/3. Before you take a decision in the assembly, you must have a quorum of 2/3, not 1/3.
There are decisions, there are legislative matters.
Legislative matters.
There are legislative
and executive matters.
Appropriation bill is 2/3.
2/3. That's what I'm saying.
Which
you
is
must
about 21 or 20. 1/3 is about 11.
Good. So you cannot, 3 persons or 4 persons cannot sit and appropriate the budget of a state. And that's what the judgment has just told you. And that is to mean that the governor need to represent even 24 budget, even before he talks about presenting the 2025 budget. That's the implication of this judgment. And so let me commend the learned jurists for this judgment. Again, let me also commend them for not stiffing the economy of Rivers State. Because when you seize the allocation of the state, it is not only the labor force, the workers, as it were, that will suffer it. It will affect the economy of the state. Because the money that you see that goes around the economy, majority of it comes from the pocket of the civil servants.
This appears to be a very tricky observation you made when you say the judges have not stiffened the economy of the state.
Yes.
Now, the judgment has annulled the judgment of Justice Abdul Malik barring Central Bank from disbursing funds to Rivers State allocation. However, while the judgment ruled, or the Appellate Court ruled that Rivers State should receive its allocation, it has also said the governor cannot spend that allocation without a budget. No.
The allocation is different from the budget.
So how does the government run?
Now,
what is the allocation for exactly?
Let me explain this.
Yes, go ahead.
In the beginning of every business year, if it is a business or an organization, the organization rolls out their budget. And the budget of an organization, which now includes the state, it is not dependent on the amount of money they have in the now. You understand what I'm saying? They do a projection of what they have and what they intend to have.
What is the projection based on?
That's the budget.
What's the projection based on?
Now, the projection, now the allocation is part of that projection.
Doesn't
we have
IGR.
We have IGR that comes from the state.
Yes.
We have the allocation, which is
allocation.
The federal allocation, which comes from the federal. We have some other royalties that the state government gets money. Most times, the state or the federal can also go as far as even borrowing money, like what the federal government just did, to form part of their budget. And so the allocation from the federal government is not only the budget. So there are some other areas.
Does the AFAC allocation service the budget?
It constitutes part of the budget.
Isn't that what I have just asked? That while the appeal court says they has annulled the barring of the allocation, it has still gone ahead. On one hand, it's just like the carrot and the stick.
Okay.
Yes, the FAC allocation should be paid to Rivers State. However, the governor cannot spend that FAC allocation because it is not appropriated.
The judgment did not say governor cannot spend the allocation.
Okay, go ahead.
It didn't say so.
Explain it to me. Can the governor spend without budget?
The governor has the responsibility to pay civil servants.
Can the governor spend
and part of that, hold on, I'm coming. Part of that federal allocation is for the government to also pay civil servants and all that. So when you stop paying civil servants and you don't pay contractors who have spent their own money in doing 1 or 2 jobs for the state, you are stifling that economy.
Now let's
hold on,
okay, go ahead.
And so the government must, as a matter of fact, pay those who are, when somebody has worked for you, you owe that obligation to pay the person, isn't it? Both the contractors and the civil servants have worked for the government, and so they have the responsibility, whether no matter how they get that money, to pay. And that is the technicality my friend was talking about, that the jurists looked at. If we stop this allocation, even though we have right to stop this allocation because the governor has not actually presented his budget, but if we do, it means that we are now, in a way, stifling the economy of Rivers State and even putting untold pressure and pain on the civil servants who are in Rivers State. And that was the technicality he was talking about. He did say it openly. And so that was what the learned jurists looked at and said, no, even though you have not presented your budget, we cannot stop the allocation because of some certain members of that society.
All right, very well. Now, we're still talking about the budget. The budget, when you're talking about the budget, you look at the concurrent expenditure and the capital expenditure. Yes.
Yeah, the recurrent and the.
Yeah. So, what's the difference between the two? Can you educate me a bit?
The difference is simple. The capital are exclusively for projects. For projects. Now, the recurrent are these ones you use for the day-to-day running of the administration.
Which includes payment of salaries.
Payment of salaries.
Very well.
Yes.
Now, that boils down again to the budget.
Sure.
Now, that's why I asked you, what does concurrent or recurrent expenditure, I hope I got that right, means? And you have said day-to-day running of the state. And salary payments is part of it.
It's part of it, yes.
Now, that's why I am asking the question.
Yes.
How is the governor going to pay salaries that are not approved? With what funds is he going to pay salaries when they are not approved? You're talking about a budget.
Yes.
You're talking about the day-to-day running, capital expenditure, investments, and all of that by the state. And it has to go through a process, and it has to be approved. Yes? Now, in this situation, this is not happening. And the appeal court has ruled, the second appeal court has ruled that the state is running without a budget. While it has approved that FAC allocation should be paid to the state, on one hand, the governor cannot even spend Rivers money without appropriation bill. Do you see the quagmire right now? So the question, why I'm asking you these questions is, I'm looking at what is the way forward at this point? Because now we are looking at the fact that 2024 has come to an end, literally.
Yes.
The budget, the lifespan of the budget has literally come to an end. And we are looking at 2025.
Yes.
And the governor so far has, from body language and his speech, has said it is the Okojumbo faction. Even the commissioner for budget and planning said they will submit the budget to the Okojumbo faction. What is the way forward at this point?
Like when I was talking, I told you that the government of Rivers State, ably led, or maybe the ably may not be there as it is today by His Excellency Sir Similaya Fobara. I said they are in a precarious situation. Now, the precarious situation involves a lot of issues. First and foremost, the law has said that he has never presented a budget. And so remember, the governor has some right to spend money from the previous budget to a certain extent. Some percentage of the previous budget, the governor has right to expend it in a new year. And it has a timeline. And so the governor has a lot of questions to answer in this matter. And so that's the reason I said he is in a precarious situation. Now, the leadership of Martins Amaewhule will certainly question all these issues that are happening in the Rivers State government. And so that is the precariosity I am talking about here. So the governor would still go back to present 2024, 2025, pending on the resolutions that the assembly will come up with. The assembly of Martins Amaewhule is authentic assembly and have been reaffirmed by this judgment on Friday. And so I think that there are a lot of issues that will happen as we go further. The governor has not presented a budget. The law has said that. That 4 men are just a forum of friends. The law has said that. And so if the law has said, because of these issues surrounding the workforce and the economy of Rivers State, we do not want to stiffen the economy. And for that, please release their allocation. That does not sound hooray for the government. I saw some of them jumping up since Friday, posting, Rivers State government. They don't even know the challenges the governor is passing through. The governor is a mess as I talk to you right now. And so, when Amaewhule was here on Friday, Amaewhule made a statement. He said, there is no how a bird will fly up that the legs will not point to the ground. And he said that when he was a governor, he did everything to make sure that anywhere he goes with his speaker. That if he stays in any function, he doesn't see the speaker. He sent people to go and look for the speaker to know if the speaker is against him, is angry or not. And so the governor of Rivers State, that even have all it takes, should be able to see how he galvanizes his assembly together. And so the governor has a responsibility. He has a work now to do. Because if he doesn't do it now, I don't know what will be of the things that will happen in the days coming.
Interesting. But then there is the matter of the Supreme Court judgment. You recall that the first appeal court that affirmed Martins Amaewhule, it has been appealed. The governor appealed that to Supreme Court, and probably it could be that everybody right now, Rivers State crisis, everybody is anticipating the Supreme Court judgment, and probably it will, bring peace and clarity to this whole situation. But then, while the Supreme Court judgment, we are waiting for the Supreme Court judgment, it's still important that governance, happens in Rivers State. Governance cannot be, it can't wait for the judgment. Now, before we move on to the next story, what is the way forward at this point? Honorable Amaewhule has said that the governor is in a precarious position.
Well,
he may have the money, but can he spend it?
I agree with my friend partly on the issue of the governor being in a very precarious situation, because at the point of law, you can have your emotions, you can have a feeling, you can have a wish,
but if that is at variance with the law, and then you are merely having a wish. At the moment, the law, as far as the pronouncement of the appeal court is concerned, is very clear. And the issue you mentioned, which is from where I drew my first statement when I said that we cannot really lay hand on an assembly in Rivers State. And that's hinged on the fact that there are plethora of legal cases here and there up to the Supreme Court on the issue of who is a member of the state assembly and who is not. Like we all know, we can't be discussing that because that's not the subject matter here now. But we are aware that those issues is still running up to the Supreme Court. Defection or no defection. Are you still a member of the assembly or not? All of that is part of what we are waiting for, or what Nigerians are waiting for, the Supreme Court to draw a verdict and put an end to all of this. You just ask, what is the way forward? The way forward is this, as I would propose. There should be an end to every issue. The leaders of the states need to come together at this point. They need to know that without coming together to agree on something, shed sword, withdraw cases where it is necessary, make amends where there are, appeal where there need to be appeal, and all of that, and then allow peace to reign in the state. For God's sake, the question has come before. What is the struggle about? The control of our jointly owned resources. That's the control. That's the reason for all the challenges and all the problems. Who is going to be in control of what we jointly own in Rivers State? And so I can only but call on the leaders of the states, the political leaders of the states, the former governors of the states. They are still very healthy. We have the likes of Dr. Peter Odili, we have Rotimi Amechi, we have Nyesom Wike, we have the current governor, we have Dete Spiff. Look, we have statesmen. They have to come together. Otherwise, Rivers State will be thrown into a very bigger mess in the coming days, because you do not expect that I get an authentication from the higher court or the appeal court that I am legit, and then you on one hand, you are doing different, you're acting differently, and you're expecting me to fold my hand. There will be issues, there will be reactions. There will be reactions. So the issue of celebrating the judgment and pronouncement of releasing allocation or not releasing allocation, or insisting that this is my speaker and this is not a speaker. Look, it's neither here nor there, but it's going to be at a dead end for Rivers State in no time, if there is no way to come back to the round table and look for a way out. 2024 is already over. A few days from now, we should be talking about 2025. And that's the truth.
All right. Thank you. Now, there appears to be another conundrum again. I mean, Rivers State, yes, concerning this whole issue. According to Nigerian Constitution, you know, the budget ought to be presented to the Assembly 3 months to the end of the year, because we are now running full cycle budget. And in this instance, none has happened. Do not forget that the government has actually had a public citing of the 2025 budget. But after that public citing, it's been silenced all through. And probably the governor is waiting for the judgment of the Supreme Court. But if that does not happen this year, it means that Rivers State will enter 2025 without a budget again, still having the 2024 budget under contention. How do you make sense of all of this? Because, I mean, I'm asking questions that realistically, when you're looking at it, is bound to happen. Unless, probably at this point, a miracle happens or the Supreme Court gives judgment before that time. If the governor does not present the 2025 budget and 2024 comes to an end and we enter 2025 budget, isn't that another gross misconduct?
That is why I said that the government of Rivers State is in a serious precarious situation. And I don't want to unfold everything that is underneath the precarious situation I just said. There are a lot of issues. Now, first, there is no law that has said you must present your budget 3 months before the end of the year.
There is a constitutional background to that. Go and do your research.
Yeah, I'll look at it.
Yes, please.
Because it was Buhari who actually started to present budget earlier before.
There is a constitutional backing to that. In fact, let me even update you.
Okay.
The National Assembly, yes. The National Assembly had called on the president. That was like 3 months ago. Had called on the president asking why the president has not submitted the budget. The president had later said, as of last week, that the budget will be submitted 17th of December.
He has not submitted it.
He has not submitted it. But he said he will submit 17th of December, so as against what is obtainable.
If that law is running, is he in contempt of that law?
Amaewhule, like you just said that the president, when he was governor, he was dragging his speaker close. And Amaewhule, when he was making that statement, he also said that the president is making sure he's keeping him close. Good. So what do you expect?
Amaewhule is not the law. If actually the law had been assented, a speaker or a senior president cannot stop a law. Okay? And so that's why I said the issue is not even that important. What we're talking about is presenting 2 budgets in 1 year.
Now that there is crisis,
yes.
Let me still go back to the National Assembly. If Amaewhule or the National Assembly and the presidency is at loggerheads, you know they will invoke the full extent of the law. But because probably they are working in tandem, some things they might overlook it. Don't you agree? Don't you think that is in the case of Rivers State, for every single misstep, it will be escalated at this point? That's why I'm asking that question. We are running a full cycle budget, and 2024 is coming to an end, and the budget has not been presented. If 2024 comes to an end without a budget and we enter 2025, isn't that compounding the problem?
Serious problem. I've said this, but issue of Abuja and the president is out of play, because the Senate president, the moment a bill gets to the president and is assented, is out of the National Assembly. It is not the rule of the National Assembly. So if he doesn't present the bill, the Senate president has nothing. It is we, the Nigerian people, that can go to court and question, because it has become a law. Okay, if it is within the confines of the rules of the House, now they can do whatever they want to do. So no matter how the president brings him very close, if it is a law that has been assented by the president, I, you, and my friend, we can go to court and challenge it. But coming to Rivers State, I have said this, there is a serious problem. A serious problem in the sense that the law has said the governor has never presented 2024 budget, and we are already at the end of 2024. And so we should be talking about 2025 budget, and that one has not also been presented. There is a serious problem. However, these whole issues are going to be looked at, I don't know. But talking about, my friend talked about elders of the state and all that. We have gone beyond that stage.
Haven't the elder statesmen, have they not taken sides already?
Politics, like I used to say each time I come here, is political, and it's a game of interest.
Okay.
No matter the elders you call them, you can call them by name. Everybody has an interest, and you will always go to where your interest lies.
So you don't see that as a way out.
I had thought that this matter would have ended at the time the president wanted to bring in a political solution. Yes, and as at that time, majority of these elders were in that meeting. And so if that could not help this matter, and at the end of the day, the whole matter escalated, everybody went back to court, I think the whole solution now will get to the court. It is only the court that will solve Rivers State matter.
There will be consequences.
There won't be any consequence. Whatever consequence it is political. Definitely there must be consequences. And when it happens, it is politics. And at the time it comes to that point, whoever succeeds will continue. That's how politics is. Omeha left office after 5 months. Did the Rivers State die? Nothing came into an abrupt end.
All right.
Governance must continue.
You're right. Very well.